So yesterday we were discussing about the spindle design. We will continue with that. So is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
The main parameter about spindle design was how to overcome the heat generation because the heat will cause the distortion, and you are aware about the coefficient of expansion. So there will be changes in the dimensions also. So that will lose the accuracy. And spindle is the heart of any machine in terms of concentricity and runout. There are two types of runout, that is axial runout and radial runout. So both has to be within tolerance. And if the spindle gets heated, then this runout will run. So this is a typical spindle design. And in order to cool the spindle, there is internal coolant supply. So at the two ends you have roller bearings. So this becomes a simply supported beam, and you have thrust bearing in the middle. In order to make compact, some spindles are integrated, that is, spindles are directly attached to the motor, which is called the built-in motor system. And at the end of the spindle, there is a provision to mount tool. There are different styles or patterns or types as shown on the figure. That is, you have L frame structure, you have C frame structure, and another type is bifurcated columns. So this improves the torsional rigidity. So the distortions and bendings are less. You have two types of drives: spindle drive, that is purely rotational, and feed drive, that is purely longitudinal. So it can be 2 axis feed drive or it can be 7 axis feed drive. What are the requirements of the spindle drive? The MRR, that is material removal rate, should be large. So obviously the power requirement will be more. The speed should be infinitely variable. Infinitely variable means like from 0 to maximum. Suppose if the maximum speed is say 10,000, then the meaning of infinitely variable means between 0 and 10,000 you should be able to select any speed like 1239, any integer value, not only integer but you can have even decimal like say 500.52, and that's why this is called the infinitely variable, or it is also called as the PIV, that is positive infinitely variable drive. And for this DC motors are preferred, and the technology is microprocessor control frequency converters can be used if AC motors are used. Servo motors are used popularly because of its positioning accuracy. Like suppose if I give a command of say 100.12, so it should stop exactly at 100.12. That is what is called the positioning. There are different type of drives like DC servo motors. What is the use of DC servo motors? It gives good performance. The response is good. This sentence is wrong. That is useful in prime mover because DC servo motor is not a prime mover. Brushless DC servo motors also can be used. Since it is brushless, the maintenance is less because you don't have to clean or don't have to change the carbon brushes frequently. Another advantage of brushless DC servo motor is heat dissipation is good and motor inertia is also less. Earlier stepper motors were very common, but generally stepper motors are used in open loop control. No doubt, it has low cost, simple in construction, reliability is more, and it has less maintenance. But since most of the CNCs are closed loop, stepper motors are not used in CNC. You have something called as the linear motors. When you say motor, that means on the output you will get rotary motion, but in case of linear motors you will get longitudinal motion like this. This is a cable. So in case of linear motor you will get a longitudinal motion. For actuations, lead screws and slideways are used, but in CNCs we don't use lead screws, but rather we use ball screws in order to reduce the friction. Lead screws are used on conventional machines. But if you want to know about the lead screws, the conventional lead screws, they have Acme threads and not a square thread, which causes high friction and consumes more power. And for that, that is in order to reduce the friction, and obviously more the friction, more the power consumptions. Like suppose automobile, if the friction between the tire and the road is more, obviously you will need, or obviously the horsepower of the engine will be more. That is, if you are talking about racing cars, the width of the tire is more because the friction, the grip has to be there on the road so that the vehicle doesn't skids off. And all the racing vehicles, if you see, the HP is more, so they are all high powered engines. So if the power is high, the fuel consumption will increase, and that's why we go for recirculating ball nut. So in case of recirculating ball nut, the thread profile is circular. It's neither square nor acme, but it's an arc. It's circular, and in between screw and nut there are balls. So the friction is less, the efficiency is more, and power consumption is also less. This is how a recirculating ball, screw, and nut will look like. So it has less friction, less wear, good movement, less power. So the profile or thread profile is almost semicircular, and the balls are fitted between this nut and the screw as shown, and these balls are continuously moving in a channel which is provided in the nut. The clearance between the screw and the nut is set in the factory, and that is what is called as the preloading. So we say preloaded recirculating ball screw and nut. Preloaded means the loads are applied, or the load is applied on the screw and nut, and the desired clearance is set so that you get a good movement between screw and nut, and that is what is called the preloading. So all the ball screws are preloaded and they are factory set. Before dispatching the machine to the site, linear motion guideways are also popular. So again, LM guideways में you have balls which are fitted in the guideways, which reduces the friction and gives a stick free motion. This is how linear motion guideways will look like. Linear motion guideways are also called as the LM guideways. LM. LM stands for linear motion. As I said, the CNC machines are closed loop. So in order to get the feedback, the encoders are mounted on the spindle. That is one way. Other way is you have linear scales. So have a look on this diagram. Try to understand. I just give you a minute. हेलो अरे मैं तो कोड सेक्शन फॉर्म अपलोड किया था होगा नहीं Yes, I hope you understood this diagram, or at least you have seen this diagram. So you have a machine tool here. You start from here. How to read this diagram? You have a machine tool here. Machine tool means this is CNC lathe or milling or drilling. That is what is your machine tool is. Now let us consider only one servo motor, like let us consider only one axis, say longitudinal axis. So at the end of the axis, that is at the end of the screw, servo motor is fitted, and on the servo motor either you have an encoder that is shown by dotted, or you have a tacho generator. The function of the encoder is to give the position feedback. Like suppose you have given a command of say 100 rpm, so encoder will always give the position, that is what is the current position, 90, 91, 92, in terms of degree, in terms of angle. That is what is called as the position feedback. Like suppose if you are given x50, that is 50 mm to be moved in x direction, and if the pitch of the ball screw is 5 mm, then 50 divided by 5, so ball screw should rotate 10 rotations or 10 revolutions. So 10 revolution is nothing but 360 into 10, that is 3600 degree. So encoder will keep on checking how much is the degree, or through what angle the screw is rotated, and it will continuously give the feedback. Okay, so 3600 is the total rotation. So it will send a signal, yes, now it is 3500. And what is my command position? Command position is say 3600. So what is the error? 100. Positive or negative? Say negative. So it will again give the signal to the motor that still 100 degree has to be rotated, like that. So at this command position, or this is also called as the error, the command signal and the feedback signal, they are checked, they are compared, and whatever error, or whatever the difference, error means difference, is sent ahead. Since this is low voltage signal, it is amplified and it is given to the motor. Now the function of the tacho generator is to give the velocity feedback. So velocity feedback means whatever feed rate you are giving, feed rates are given, feed rate is nothing but the velocity. So feed rates are given in millimeter per revolution or millimeter per minute. So velocity feedback will always give the current velocity. Like suppose you have given a feed rate of say 80 millimeter per minute. So what is the current feed rate, whether it is 60, 70, 75, and the error will be worked out and sent. So you have encoder, encoder gives you the position feedback, and you have tacho generator that gives you the velocity feedback. In order to give the position feedback, there is one more device that is called the linear scale. So you don't have linear scale and encoder together. Either of these, either you will have encoder or you will have linear scale. Now linear scales are obsolete. linear scales, because linear scales are glass scales, glass, and it has to be handled very carefully, because glass can be broken very easily. So from maintenance point of view, linear scales are not preferred. So linear scales, linear glass scales are not used. But from operation point of view, linear scales were better. So either linear scale or encoder are used for position feedback, whereas tacho generator is used for velocity feedback. This is what the principle of operation of encoder. So encoders is a rotating device which is mounted on the spindle of the motor or on the motor, and there are slots like this. Representative slots are cut along the periphery and the light is passed. So light will be passed here, it will be blocked here, passed here, blocked here, passed here, blocked here, pass, block, like that. And this number of passes, how many times the light is passed, how many times the light is blocked, is counted, and accordingly the position feedback is worked out. This is a linear scale, what I was telling, or a glass scale, which is fitted. And it is used to give the position feedback. See, in this diagram, this linear scale or the optical scale or the glass scale, whatever you say, is clearly seen. There are other hardware also, like guideways, then servo motors, then turret, but it is not possible to study in this short duration. And also it will be not asked also in the examination. But you just remember, see, there is something called as the encoder, something called as the glass scales, and so on. So let's move on to the next topic. Like this is done, CNC principles. This is the same. I think I have to upload this. So let's go for CNC special features. That is, what are the additional features CNC has? Obviously, these are available at extra cost. It doesn't come within your standard price. The very first is offline simulation software. So this is useful. That is, suppose if you have done a program and you want to see the tool path, that is how the tool is moving. So that tool path movement can be seen on the screen. That is what is called as the simulation. So the advantage of this, how this is useful, advantage of this is that if something is wrong with the program, if there are any errors, that can be corrected. Next is tapping attachment. You cannot directly mount the tap inside the spindle. You need to have a tapping attachment. So the tapping attachment has axial float and radial float, and it is spring loaded. So the tapping has to be done with the help of tapping attachment. So that's another accessory available at extra cost. Then tool nose radius compensation. See, our tool, what we use on CNC lathe, is not sharp. It has a radius at the end. So the cutting, had it been sharp, then cutting point would have remained the same. But since it is circle, the cutting point will go on changing when you are doing facing, or when you are doing OD turning, or when you are doing taper cutting. So the cutting point will always keep on changing. So manually it is very difficult to calculate and program. It becomes very lengthy program, and there can be mistakes also. So for that, there is a provision of radius compensations. So the control will calculate the cutting point. You have to just give the radius of the tool, and the cutting point which keeps on changing while doing taper cutting or while doing profile cutting is calculated by the control itself. There is another feature. Whatever we are discussing, these are the special features, and these are available at extra cost. That is, you have to pay extra. These are not standard features. Another is tool life management. Now, maybe I may be wrong, because sometimes what happens, because of the competitions, the manufacturer, they give some provision, some features, extra features, in order to attract the customer. Just have a look on this tool life management. So in tool life management, it gives the life of the tool, what is the wear of the tool, the process, what is the regrinding time, or what is the time between two regrinding. So everything is given. All the details are given in this tool life management system. This is what a setup is for tool life monitoring system. So the sensors will give the flank wear as well as the crater wear. There is another special feature which is called as the adaptive control. So the meaning of adaptive control is the CNC machine will adapt to the situation. Means if the material is hard, then it will reduce the feed rate, or if the material is soft, it will increase the feed rate automatically. It will display or it will show the cutting force. If the force is more, it will give the alarm. And if the overloading is too much, then it will stop the machine. That is what is called as the adaptive control. This was a very powerful feature, that is parametric programming, earlier before the cam saptors were launched in the market. Like now there are CAM software, that is computer aided manufacturing softwares, machining software like Mastercam, ProE, ABIS. There are many softwares so which are helpful for making the programs. But when these softwares were not there, the complex programming was done by parametric programming. So you can build the equations, you can build a profile using different parameters. Only necessity was you should be aware about the mathematical model. Like suppose if you want to cut a circle, then you should know the equation of the circle, that is x square plus y square is equal to r square. Imagine like suppose for circular interpolation we are using G02 or G03, clockwise, anti-clockwise. Suppose if you don't have that, then how you will program? You will give the equation x square plus y square is equal to r square. Then you will give the value of x increment zero point 0.5, zero point 0.5, zero point 0.5. So every increment based on the equation, it will calculate the value of y, and accordingly the tool will move. And same is applicable for any complex profile. This is what is called as the parametric program. And parametric program also allows to use the statements like if, while, do, go to, like what we use in our C program. So this is an additional extra feature. Background editing is a feature which is very helpful to save the machine downtime. What does it mean background editing? Like suppose a program, a particular component is being machined, then while that component is being machined, you can edit another program or you can write another program or another workpiece. Of course, you cannot edit the current program, that is which is being machined. While the program is being executed, you cannot change that program, but you can change or you can write another program, new program, while the present workpiece is getting machined. Means your machine is not stopped. That is what is called as the background editing. So this helps in reducing the idle time. Like earlier cases when background editing feature was not there, you can change or you can edit or you can write a new program when the machine is stopped. So you have to stop the machine and then only you have to edit the program. But now this is not required. Stopping of the machine is not required. You can edit while the machining is going on. This is what is called as the background editing. Another feature is blueprint programming. Blueprint programming is the menu-driven program in which you are not required to know the codes. It is menu-driven, that is GUI, that is graphical user interface, is designed in such a way that it keeps on asking the questions and you have to simply answer it. Like it will ask, what is the diameter? So you have to just write 20. It will ask, what is the length? You have to feed the length like that. This is what is called as the blueprint programming. That is here, you don't have to remember, you don't have to know the codes. So this is again a good feature. Then you have axis control and power tooling. You have axis control and power tooling. So power tooling is nothing but your tool. Like in case of CNC lathe, the workpiece is rotating and tool is stationary. But power tooling means the tool also can be rotated, and this is the basic of turn mill machine. Turn mill. So in turn mill machine, we use power tooling. That is, you can do drilling, you can do milling. If you want to do drilling or milling, then you need to rotate the drill or you need to rotate the end mill. This is what is called as the power tooling. Programmed shaped manipulation. Shape manipulation means what? You can manipulate the shape like offsetting. What we use the command in AutoCAD. Like AutoCAD, me you can offset the line or you can offset a square. Like suppose if we have 50 by 50 ka square, so you can make it 60 by 60. That is, you are offsetting by 10 mm. So similarly, you can manipulate the shape. Then DNC is a type of computerized numerical control. The full form of DNC, some they say direct numerical control, some they say distributed numerical control. Both are right. So here there are many machines, more than one, two, three, four, or 10 machines, which are connected to the central computer or host computer, and this one computer controls all these 10 machines. So the biggest advantage of this is you don't have to have a computer or a control on every machine. Like suppose if you are using or if you are controlling 10 machines, then you don't need 10 controls. You will need only one computer, only one control. So cost is saved tremendously. So these are all networked with the central computer. Even you don't need 10 operators. 2, 3 operators can control 10 machines. So there is reduction in cost. This is what is called as the distributed numerical control. Uh, So you have provision to switch. That is, suppose if the 10 machines are connected, then you can start or stop machine number 2 or machine number 4 selectively. That is what is called as the switching network. And of course, you have, I mean, all the machines are connected through LAN, that is local area network. And these basic programming considerations we will start next time, because this cannot be completed now. If you have any doubt, you please ask. Otherwise, we can stop here. So thank you so much.